Welcome to the Garage Door Heroes podcast. I am your host, Robb Leishman, founder of Legit 5 Garage Door Marketing, and this is the place where garage door dealers become true heroes in their markets and businesses. In each episode, I bring you proven strategies, insider stories, and conversations with industry leaders to help you grow your company, lead your team with confidence, and create the freedom you've been looking for. Because in this business, it's not just about fixing doors, it's about building lives, families, and legacies. Let's get started. Right on. Hey, everybody in the Garage Door Heroes group and beyond, everybody that can watch this. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is an extra special event. I think every time we do this podcast, it is an extra special event, but we have a very good friend of mine joining us today, Jarrett Buckalew. Jarrett is the president of WASA, Western Access Systems Association. I'm going to assume that most of us are familiar with what it is. It is the second most active group in the garage door industry. Obviously, the IDA is the big player, and WASA is very important. And I say we because I am on the board, and Jarrett is the president. And we service the dealers and the manufacturers in the Southwest United States area. Utah, Nevada, Arizona, California. It's a big deal, and we feel very fortunate. And Jarrett is a very busy guy. He's not just the president of WASA; he's also running a very successful garage door company in Southern California. That is just busy factor 12, right? I mean, trying to work in that market. And so Jarrett is not just an influencer or an important factor in the industry in the Southwest, but he's a friend of mine. And I consider myself very fortunate to have Jarrett as a friend and having him being willing to join us on this. And he's got a story to tell. And I think his story is going to relate, a lot of us will be able to relate. It's been ups and downs. It's had challenges. It's had celebrations and some tougher times. And right now, Jarrett's kind of come out in a much more positive and better place. So I'm not going to yammer on anymore. I want to thank you, Jarrett, for coming on, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate the introduction. I hope I can measure up to people's expectations after that. The garage door business and WASA as a whole have been amazing experiences and great things to be involved with for myself on a personal level and then as a business level as well. I mean, it's
sure
these trade organizations, and especially as we've done some moves to partner up with IDA so that we are an actual direct affiliate with them.
Right.
It really turns the situation into a fun vessel to be aboard as we're transforming and growing and moving forward on that front. And then, personally, I mean, I look at you, Rob, and I'm grateful to have met you. I'm grateful to call you a friend. If we look back at my history in the industry, it's kind of a funny story. My entrance into the working world in my career started in the automotive industry, and that was my introduction to being part of sales-driven organizations. Mm-hmm. I had the wonderful luck of riding that amazing roller coaster all the way up until about 2008, and then watched it all come crashing down. Most of the organizations I was involved with did not do well going through that crisis. And it was at that point I got introduced to the garage door industry. I was lucky enough to fall in with one of the largest dealer installer companies in Southern California. I worked with Mesa Garage Doors for a lot of years and learned a lot of things about a sales-driven garage door organization, mostly on the new door side. Learned how to effectively market, learned how to effectively upsell in the field, began to learn about this business as I had learned previously about the automotive industry. And then, as with anything in life, it's like you can take a road down as far as you can take it. And then I got lucky enough to get tapped on the shoulder by a mutual friend that knew the current owner at Caliber Garage Doors. And we've got a generational situation where people are looking to pass the torch. And I wanted an opportunity to see if I could take all of the things that I saw Mesa Garage Doors doing right remove the things that aggravated me and see if we could turn that into a successful organization. And I've gotten some lumps along the way. I've learned some painful lessons. I now understand a lot more things about this business and this industry than I did when I was just working for somebody. But it's been an interesting ride, and I'm not sure if you want me to expand on any portion of that, or if there's anything you want me to walk into in more detail, let me know, and I'll gladly do it.
Yeah, man, there's a ton of things in there that I would love to expand on. You know, obviously our perspective changes, right? You said you came in to ownership from basically the tech or the sales side of it. Mm-hmm. And then now you're an owner, and all of a sudden our eyes get so much more wide open, right? Our eyes get
absolutely
a whole different perspective. But I do want to back up even a little bit further, where you said you came from the sales side and saw the success that comes in from sales and understanding a sales-based garage door company, large, mostly from the new door sales. Let's talk about that. Let's kind of unpack that a little bit. What was good and what was bad about that?
For sure. Yeah, and that's a major piece of the education I got in this last little bit. But I'll tell you, growing up as a kid, my father, who was relatively successful, had a statement that he lived by his entire life, and I've never found anything to be more true. And it was the statement that if you're in sales, you're always going to win, because nothing in this world happens until something gets sold. And that is proven to be true in any facet, in any industry, in anything that we're doing. My introduction to this industry at Mesa set me back a little bit, because they had a very compartmentalized company. And really it's set up that way because of the size, the scope, and the scale of what they do. They are a massive, massive ship, meaning my exposure side was on the in-home sales portion, the new door sales portion, and management of that facet of the organization. So I literally, unbeknownst to me, had really been exposed to half of what an effective garage door company is. Right. And I entered the industry at a time where that was a very fruitful avenue to travel down. I came over to Caliber, it would have been mid to late 2017. And from 2017 all the way up to 2020 and COVID, every dollar I pushed out in marketing to generate new door leads, with the sales team that I had out in the field capable of running them, we had a winning recipe that was growing year over year. We were doubling or tripling on an annual basis.
Wow.
And ran all the way into COVID thinking, okay, this is my mud check moment where I'm about to get a haircut. And we got the opposite response of what anybody thought. We became an essential industry that was allowed to keep operating. We had the populace get loaded up with government cash that was burning holes in their pockets. And we took off on what was probably the wildest 18 months I had ever seen in my entire life on the new door sales side. You just couldn't lose. If you were out there, if you had your name out there, people were picking up the phone, they were calling. And we've always done well on the sales side, because that's where I say my background is. So it's like, if you give my guys an opportunity to get in front of a homeowner, we're going to do a better job. We're going to present things better. We're going to explain the options better. We're going to educate better. And it's going to put us in a position where we're going to leave with that order.
Right.
And I'm sure you, Rob, as I see the smile on your face, know the wall that I was getting ready to run into, and the education that was coming my way.
That's right. That's right. It's a big lesson. It's a big lesson.
It is.
You know, but before we leave this subject and kind of talk about that wall, because I think there's a lot of people that I talk to. I talk to so many dealers across the country, right? And they're if they are service oriented, they just want to go out and just do the bare minimum service that, you know, whatever Mrs. Jones calls, and if it's a broken spring or broken cables, whatever, they're going to do that at the lowest time and the lowest cost to the customer possible. And they think that's how they get a happy customer. They think that's their secret sauce to success. And they're calling me struggling because that's all they're doing. And they're not, They're leaving money on the table. In some instances, they're leaving money on the table. I think they're not giving the best service they can to their customer because they're not talking about things their customer doesn't know or isn't aware of. And this, I generally talk about sales a lot and the need to inform customers about what they can get, whether it's new technology or a new door or, just basic maintenance items like, rollers and hinges, that sort of thing. Let's talk about that sales for just a minute, how important that is to the scale and growth of a company.
It's vital on every facet and aspect of it. And that's what was funny with the hole that I had left and the education that I got. We were doing that very effectively on the new door side. If I'm going to market for new door sales, I'm going to put out a coupon with a loss leader that we put in the market. And I know I've got an effective sales team that's going to go out into the field. They're going to present options that go beyond that. And we know we're going to have an average ticket that is far in excess of that. And the way I had my company structured was we would do that. We were pushing a lot of brand new doors out the back. And when my installers would wrap up an install, we would look at service tickets, just like you said. If somebody called in and their cables were off, if somebody called in and they had a broken spring or they needed a new motor, that would be a second call that I would add on to, or second or third call to add on to some of my install teams that were already out there. And I was blind to the fact that we were leaving a lot of opportunities on the table. What it took for me was that portion of the industry slowing down in Southern California, where we watched basically what I've called the middle class exodus, where people that were our largest marketplace for new doors stopped answering the marketing that we were pushing out. And it was that moment where I got the opportunity where we had met and been talking for a little while. And you said, I can get you service leads. And I said, I'm interested. And you made the statement to me. You go, you understand what needs to happen with these, that they need to be sold. And that is something I understand through and through. I just had not implemented it. So where I get lucky, and I will stand by this and fold, because, skill is one thing, but luck is a lot of it, is I had a few people that were already in position at my company. I had two guys that I knew I could make the transfer if I started training and doing things properly. And then I got lucky enough to do a couple of good hires right off the bat because the economy was softer and people were looking for new chances where they could be busier. And I took the model that we looked at with new doors and we just pushed it out to my service team. I started running basic sales training with the guys, basic closing tactics. And the importance of what it is that we're not salespeople. You're going out. Nobody's going to call us to fix a garage door because everything's working right. Nobody's going to call us for a garage door tune-up because they're happy with how everything is working.
Right.
And what we don't often think about, because I've been in this industry a long time, I know every nut and bolt and how every door works, and I know every aspect of it. And it's very easy for myself and my technicians to start to project that onto the homeowners that we're going out to visit. And it's not true. And what we're being blessed with is an opportunity to go out and educate people. And the funny thing that happened, and this is the best measure of how well we're doing this, is if we go out because somebody has their cables off and we don't tell them that the date on their spring shows that they're over 10 years old, and the reality is that that's going to be a problem that's going to come around the corner very quickly. We don't tell them that they've got a bearing in one of their rollers that's seized up. We don't tell them that when the cables came off, one of them got kinked, and it's going to set us up in a position where this is going to happen again after we reset them if we don't replace the cables. If there's hinges or bolts that are loose on the door, if we don't address all of the items when we're out there, I get a call back from that customer in 30 or 60 days pissed at me because they've got a new problem and I didn't tell them about it. Or they're calling me for a warranty thing that's not warranty related because we didn't do our job right when we were out there the first time. And so that was the key indicator we got that we were starting to finally do this correctly, is not only were we going out and converting what were small negligible tickets into deals and sales that were worthwhile for us, while at the same time keeping our customer base safe and happy, we started getting good reviews from people because things were going well and they got long-term use out of the door after we had serviced it. And we weren't getting calls back like, hey, why didn't you tell me my rollers were shot? I would have taken care of it while we were out there. Why didn't you make a note that my spring was about ready to pop? I would have had you do it while you were out here. And that's even turned into part of my technician's pitch, because at the end of the day, we show up out there and we show up on a marketed lead, which again it's a low cost leader. It gives us an opportunity to get our foot in the door.
Man, that was beautiful. You articulated that so well. Let's spend a minute there, and then I want to go back to the 30 days, the 30-day callback from an angry customer. I want to hit that in a minute, but when you go out, and this is a conversation that I have, I'm going to say probably half of the time when I talk about the need to implement sales. Now, this is not a word invention on my part, right? Tommy Mello talks about sales all the time. And a very good friend of mine, Joe Crisera, who is a sales coach, talks about sales all the time. And then when I bring it up, talking with dealers down on the ground level, right? They're going, well, I don't like selling. I don't want to sell things or make my customers buy things they don't need. Don't. And all of a sudden I feel like I'm backtracking. Let's talk about what that means. Because to me, I talk about sales because that is a term for you have something that they need. Maybe they know they want it or need it, and maybe they don't. But if we don't sell, if we don't present to them, then they don't have the opportunity to buy from us.
Yeah, let me give you a good example, and it's a funny one that I think is going to encompass this as a whole. What I found in the past when we were very new door driven, some of the best salespeople that I could find that would go out and run new door leads, that would upsell a customer, walk them through options, give a good presentation, give them the whole kit and caboodle. I found some of the best guys that I could get were old car salesmen. Wow. And if you want to talk about a classic sales pitch, a classic delivery, follow up, follow through, the whole situation that I'm sure most of your guys are describing when they don't want to make somebody uncomfortable, that is it. That is the definition of the classic commercial close, and it's what we had used in the past. This, to me, is different because I don't have used car salesmen out running service appointments for my company. I have skilled garage door technicians, and we're not going out to sell anybody anything.
Right.
We're going out to educate them about what they may not know, what they may not see, and point out things. Because at the end of the day, there is nothing more aggravating than you're trying to get kids out the door to go to school. You're trying to get your family moving in the morning. Everybody's already 10 minutes late by the time they're throwing things in the car, and you hit that button to open your garage door and it doesn't open. That is an aggravating, terrible start to the morning.
It is.
And what we're trying to do is say, hey, I understand why you called us out. Let me show you the rest of your system. We're going to go through a 27-point inspection. And the reason we do this is because I don't want the call back in 2 weeks or 30 days about what you didn't share with me about what I might need. I'm not doing anybody a favor by not explaining to them what is around the corner for them. Yes. And if we go at it as an educational standpoint, there's basic sales involved. I mean, everybody wants to play let's make a deal by the time they know what we're looking at for a total ticket. But this is not collegiate level sales. These are people that are in an educational standpoint. We are educating our customers about what they have and how it works.
That is excellent. Absolutely excellent. You know, for anyone that's thinking that when we talk about sales, that we're just going to go and be pushy like the last used car that you purchased went.
Right.
That is not the case. Mrs. Jones may be a single mom, so she's got to work. She's got 2 kids she has to get to school or daycare. She does not have time for a crisis with her garage door.
Right.
And if we were there a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, or whatever, for weather stripping or what have you, any issue or just realigning sensors, we do that and leave. And then, just like you mentioned, a month later, she's calling, and we could have saved that emergency. She's now in an emergency situation, and she's hoping that someone can get there right now, which often is not possible.
Right.
For us to treat her emergency like our emergency, it's not it's not always possible. So guys, if we can just present in a way like Jarrett's saying, if we can just present it in a way of, hey, Mrs. Jones, I can fix this now and avoid an emergency, but if I don't fix it now, I can promise you that it will break when I'm not here and I don't have parts, and then you can't get in or out. I mean, it's a conversation. It is not selling, and I want more and more guys to understand. Just don't. There's a need for, it takes all kinds to make the world go round. And if you just want to be your basic service guy, go out, provide the service, and then hope they call you back, so be it. But that's not going to grow and scale a business, which I think is, for the most part, why we all went into business. Why are we even entrepreneurs if we didn't want to make something really cool?
Well, and the best measure, this was the other funny part, is in the beginning when we realized, again, sales driven, it's what it is, but at the end of the day, we're being educators.
Yep.
Was the moment I took the opportunity to say, hey, my technicians now need business cards just like my door salesman did. And to put business cards in their hands that they have the opportunity to hand out to the customers, the biggest reflection in the benefit added and people's experience with us is in the referral business that we get. And most of the people that will hand our name and number off to their close friends or relatives were people that heard our presentation and spent money with us, and money at a considerable level, to the notion that, they had some issues and we helped them dodge some problems. And they appreciated us for not only coming out, but explaining to them what was going on, walking them through what it would take to get them set up where they're not going to have problems for a considerable amount of time. And again, it's like the notion, we never have to sell somebody something they don't need.
Yeah.
Garage doors are underserviced. Too many people go out and just take care of the problem that the customer tells you about. And the reality is there's usually more going on, especially now as people are putting more time in between replacing them, as they feel like their budgets are a little bit tighter. So it's like me being able to make sure they can make it to the next opportunity when they feel like they've got the surplus cash to get a new garage door. I'm offering a service that they need.
Right. And if we are offering the same thing to help them, be able to reach the next opportunity to whatever, tax refund or what have you, that they can get a new door. If we give them a world-class experience and we are their guy, their door guy, right?
Exactly.
And so we take care of the smaller things at a considerable profit. And then we're the easy or the obvious phone call when something big breaks or when they do need a new door. We've already got a relationship with them. They trust us. Basically they know, like, and trust us, to use the sales cliche.
For sure. Absolutely.
I want to ask a question. I want to go back a little bit. You'd mentioned a loss leader, setting up a loss leader to get us in the door. Now, this was just recently that one of my clients that we were running a loss leader for, just in that sense, he got a phone call from one of his community competitors there that called him and said, "What's with your prices? Why are your prices so low? You're undercutting our industry, yada, yada, yada." And I'm like, no, your prices aren't low. It's one small service that we put in, it's a lead magnet, if you will, to get people interested. And you called it a loss leader. And I'm from that from a retail product standpoint. But can you talk about that for a minute, what that model looks like in your company?
Yeah, well, the best way I could explain it to anybody is it is ultimately a coupon that if every single person redeems in the field, you are going to go out of business.
Right.
And so it's funny when you mention the guy that had a competitor go, your stuff is too cheap. I will make an honest statement on that. I've had competitors come to me and do that, and I can safely tell you that they were right when they made the claim. And then I've had competitors come to me and make that claim in situations like we're talking about, and they're clearly wrong. Because the point is it's like, if right now the two vessels that support my organization the best are a free service inspection that we run, and then a $49 tune-up. And I can assure you the moments where we leave with no money are less than 10% on a free service inspection. And the opportunities where we perform a $49 tune-up for somebody is less than 10% of the calls that we go out on. And it's like I tell my technicians, I go, there are people that you can't win with, and it's fine, but at least we be honest and we give them the whole presentation, we give them the whole same experience, because there's a chance we'll get a call back, and we do, even on a lot of the 10% we don't initially close. But the reality is those ultimately turn into $800 plus, $1,000 plus service tickets if you're rocking through everything. I mean, we've got a gift in Southern California where we're so densely populated, and a lot of people have 3-car garages, where the notion that you're going to walk into a garage that doesn't need springs on at least one of them, doesn't need cables on at least one of them, if not both, rollers, hinges that are not operating properly, parts that are loose, and bearing plates that are starting to fail. Again, Southern California and coastal, we've also got rust type issues that come up. So it's like, we'll go to coastal properties, and it's like, people are lucky they have us out, because they had stuff that was, you got a custom wood door on track and brackets that are starting to rust through. You've got a catastrophic failure that was about to happen. And the majority of the populace is smart enough to realize that a job of that nature is not going to happen for $49.
Yeah.
So you start to have an honest conversation, you educate people about what their problems are. But the point is if we don't put things like that out there in the field as marketing, we're not going to get the opportunity to educate that customer. And if we don't have the opportunity, then, what are we ultimately doing? So it's like, Southern California is a competitive market, and we need to be competitive in what we're putting in the field, or we won't get the opportunity. And what I do know definitively is if we get the opportunity, we're going to show up, we're going to look better, we're going to sound better, we're going to be more informative, we're going to be more educational, and we're going to provide an experience that is different than what they've had from any other garage door company that come out.
Man, that's awesome. That is awesome. And I hope that everybody just maybe takes a minute, pause, rewind 15 seconds and listen to that. Give them a better experience than they've had. Be more professional, be more informational, be more educational, and help them understand not just, hey, you need X, but here's why you need X, and help them understand, that give them a good, better, best, or give them some options so that they know, they're aware of the urgency, whether it's emergency or just urgency or just sometime. Let's go back to, the loss leader idea. That's 1 or 2 items, right? Does that mean all of our services are sort of minimal or lower than everybody else in town? No, right?
Not at all. If anything, what I've learned on our end, the most dangerous game we can get into, because it serves nobody and it helps nobody, is trying to provide too much information in a marketing format and then trying to do too much on the telephone on your initial point of contact. Because like I said, without a technician out in the field at the person's house that can educate people about the components that are there, I mean, the phone calls we get are some of the craziest things in the world. My garage door is broken. How much is it going to cost to fix it? Well, what's wrong with it? I don't know. You guys are the garage door company. And I'm always like, okay, well, let me get a technician out there. We're not going to charge you for it. Let me actually figure out what's causing your problem, and we can walk you through what it's going to take to get it fixed. And if we do that and we present ourselves well on the phone from the first point of contact, my technician shows up, gives the presentation like we just discussed, we've built a little bit of trust with that customer. And that trust goes a long way. And then even as I said before, the 10% that was never going to trust us, because shame on our industry, there's some bad actors out there. Some people have had some bad experiences. If we take those people and we give them the same presentation and we educate them about every aspect of their door, even though they didn't trust us at that moment and they call somebody else out to check on it, a funny thing happens, because that person will come out, address the only issue, and we now have an educated customer, and they'll go, hey, real quick, but what about this? What about this?
Yeah.
And then we've got somebody else going, well, yeah, they probably wouldn't be a bad idea to look at. And then those are the most gratifying things in the world, where we get a call back from that person that had the opportunity to have somebody else out that didn't look as good as us, didn't communicate as well as us, didn't give all the information. And then that customer calls us back and now does have the trust to move forward with us. Like, I don't think it can happen 100% of the time on the first call, but I can safely tell you it happens more than 90%.
That is awesome. That's a company that's tight on their processes and their systems, you know. But if someone, let's just pick one of these offers, right? One of these low ball offer kind of things. So let's say the free estimate, the free in-home inspection and estimate of the problem. You know, a lot of guys don't do that. A lot of guys are afraid to do that because they think they're going to go out and they're going to waste too much fuel and time.
Rob, I was terrified. It took me 18 months to get off of that cliff. And I will tell you, it's the smartest thing I've ever done.
Smartest thing. Because why? I mean, that provides the opportunity to be their guy or sell. Without the opportunity, we're never going to sell them as a single roller or a pulley or what have you. Without the opportunity, we've got nothing.
Well, and here's what's funny, and I'll back you up, because when I talk about hitting a wall, I did hit a wall. And by the time I was trying to work this aspect of my company, we had suffered some losses that were painful to an extent it's hard to even describe. So the notion that I'm going to be sending trucks out and that I could lose money on that was a terrifying thought to me. So this is where you'll laugh and you'll find it comedic. That coupon for the 18 months prior to me making it a free service call was a $29.99 service inspection. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, at least I can break even if they don't buy anything. I can pay my guy for the call. I can pay for a little bit of fuel. And whatever my losses are at that point are negligible. And that way, if there's a bunch of them, da-da-da-da-da. So here's what I find out. We go out and it's the same experience. 90% of them were converting. We're doing well. And then I, as a business owner, made the foolish decision of thinking, well, this is working. Let's keep rolling with it. What I didn't think about was, believe it or not, $30 is enough of a barrier where some people aren't going to pick up the phone. Yeah. And when we finally went to the free service call, I warned my technicians. I was at least in a place where I was ready to take it. And I said, hey, there's a chance we could start getting some lower quality calls. But my instinct tells me the amount we're going to increase, and in the increase, the amount we can convert are going to make it worth it. And to my surprise, we had a 25 to 30% increase in lead acquisition without changing anything other than going from $29.99 to free. And our 90% close ratio was still being maintained at a ticket average that made the jobs well worthwhile to do.
There we go. Yeah. That's so awesome. Like, we're in a competitive market. We've got a lot of competition. We got a lot of people that have a very high cost of living, your customers.
For sure.
And who knows what their incomes are. I mean, there are lots and lots of financial challenges to doing this. But he who, the business owner that can afford to spend the most or lose the most to gain a client wins. Because again, the guy that says he won't go out for $125 never got that call.
Right. That
Jarrett gets for the free inspection or some of the other leading offers that he uses. So that's what I think is awesome. We would rather convert 90% of 10 than 90% of 3.
You got it.
Right?
You got it.
So important for guys to understand. So cool. So let's talk about where Caliber is now and how you got here where you're at now, and the situation there.
For sure. So here's what was interesting, and I'll circle back to kind of how you and I came to be working together after we'd become friends for a while. And it's an interesting part of the story, but as I had said previous and hadn't really touched on it much, is we hit a wall of unbelievable proportions on the new door sales side. And we weren't effectively marketing the service side, and we weren't effectively training the sales guys. And in a 18-month period, my company's losses were absolutely ridiculous. I think we looked at depending on what metric you want to measure, but the reality is we're well over $1 million in 18 months. And it's because we were doing a lot of really high-end marketing at the time. I was doing radio type marketing. I had TV commercials with my stupid face all over it that people were watching. And all of these things were paying off and were fruitful for us on the new door side up until about the third quarter of 2022. And I will never forget the day I'm kind of sitting at my desk and I'm like, our office is really quiet. What is going on? And I realize we don't have any inbound phone calls coming in. And I'm like, this has got to be a fluke. It's got to be a fluke. And lo and behold, you start running up losses of over $100,000 a month in marketing because you're marketing the wrong things. You can get yourself pinned into a really uncomfortable position. And the gift I have is, again, being on the board of WASA and being the president of that is what brought each other into each other's lives. And as a guy that owns a garage door company, I can gladly say this too, is I've been courted and burned by more SEO crooks than I ever will care to admit. Everybody promises me the world and all of these things they're going to do, and I've never seen anything happen from it. And when Robb came to me, he said, I think I can do it different. I think I can make a difference. But he came at me with a different pitch. He goes, I can get you leads right now. I guarantee you, I've got an idea that you're not working, and we can do something that's going to have an immediate impact. And I told him, shit, I need an immediate impact. If I don't have something immediately transpire, I'm circling the drain. I need leads. I need an opportunity for these guys, and I need to get them out there so that we can get this going. And lo and behold, you came through for me. We went from a point where we were generating, it was abysmal, maybe 25 to 30 service leads a month. And in the first month of us working together, I think we had pulled 30 to 35 just off the sources that you brought to me that were completely on top of what I was already doing. So it was like literally my service business doubled overnight with your help. And with what I'd had as far as past experience and educating my guys and getting smarter along the way, you've managed to grow our service business on channels that I was not aware of, in places that we weren't doing it, at a time that I couldn't find it or get an effectively, reasonably priced lead. We had moved away from TV and TV and radio, and we're doing the most basic stuff online that everybody else is doing. Yeah. And we were doing print ads, which we got a decent return on, but the bulk of what we got on those was always new door sales. And so it was conjunction of you showing up at the absolute right time and delivering what it is you promised me you would, us redesigning those print ads to be more service centric. And it allowed me the opportunity to redesign and change the way that we do business so that we can more intelligently navigate whatever we want to call what's going on right now with the economy.
There's not we don't even know the name to call it, but whatever we want to call it.
It feels different to me than the last chunk of years, so something's happening.
It's so true. So true. Well, that's awesome. I do have a philosophy and my approach to marketing for our industry. And it is service. It is we go after residential service and repair, and this is where the opportunities are. And I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that when we set up a relationship, and you talked a little bit about earning some trust, even on the first phone call, or when people Google your name to look for your reviews, just all of that, your entire online presence is what we do. And that's where marketing is done in 2024. Marketing is done, and sales are done with a relationship. So marketing provides opportunities to establish a relationship so that Mr. or Mrs. Jones, whoever, trusts you and likes you enough to buy what you're providing.
Yeah. And again, from the introduction of it, just the experience was unlike anything I'd had in the past. And I mean, your ability to be hands-on with Tanner's help and what I watched happen from posting on my website, all of my campaigns being taken over, things that had every time I had done it in the past was just a nauseating experience that took far longer than I wanted it to, was far slower to get going. And I could not even begin to express how shocked I was in the best kind of way, where we start moving down that path and it was smoother and easier than I'd ever seen it. And I immediately started seeing a difference. It's like I didn't need to wait for some widget that I'm not smart enough to be able to measure to tell me that things have gotten better. It was like I needed to see money in my bank account like yesterday. And when you started generating the real-time leads for us where they were coming in hot, we were getting a great conversion rate on the ones that were coming in, and at a price point I didn't even know was possible in Southern California. It set us up on a path that it gave me a chance to dig out of the mess I made and gives me a chance to rebirth this thing and start having fun again.
There we go. And that's what a part of this. I want to thank you for letting us be a part of this journey, because we have seen the trajectory, if you will, change and lift off, and it's exciting to see. And I'm excited to see the next year and the next year and the next year, for you personally, but also for Caliber Garage Doors. Cool, man. And thanks for taking a minute to plug our service. I don't use this platform for that. Thank you so much for that.
Rob, I don't do it lightly. And I wouldn't do it if it wasn't an experience that was different than any I'd had. And I mean, I can say it from the bottom of my heart. I'm grateful I met you guys. And I met you at a time that I needed you more than you knew. And it absolutely saved my butt.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, I'm glad that we were a part of that. I think that's so cool. We get calls all the time, from people all across the country, really. It's sometimes out of the country, not too often, but we get calls all the time. I'm talking with people and doing my presentation all the time. And there's a lot of people out there that might be listening to this and because they've talked with me and they're thinking about joining with Legit 5 as their marketing partners. What would you say to people? What would you say to people that are on the fence or thinking about it, or might call and they might not? What would you say?
It's a tough one to give something on, but I would tell you if anybody that's thinking about it like that or hanging in is a wobbler, think about every other time somebody's pitched you on these kinds of services. Is there anybody that you've talked to that offered you an immediate difference that they could make? And that's what made it dramatically different to me, was the notion that I can change something that within a week will be putting leads into your email box that you're going to be able to run and make money on. Nobody else had told me that. It was always, this is going to be a slow ramp up. It's going to be a wind. And, you may see something, you may not. We can reinvestigate in 6 to 9 months. And that wasn't the speech I got. And you know what? It made me pretty peaceful, because I didn't think a week was possible. And I don't know if it is possible in every market. It turns out it was in Southern California. And I don't want to give you an unreachable bar. But in the back of my mind, Rob, I was like, well, shit, this is a no-brainer. I will know within 30 days' time whether this guy was telling me the truth or not, at least in the most basic sense.
Yeah.
And it made it a very low-risk thing for me to try to jump out and do, because it was either if I can see the immediate that he told me, then I've got faith in the back end for the other stuff that I don't really fully understand. And that was the other thing, is, like I said, we need to be educational to the people that are in the garages. You guys have taken the time to be educational with me, to explain to me a lot of the technology side of this that I didn't have an understanding of. And it makes everything more fun to be a part of. When you understand the widget, how it's working, how it's moving, how it's changing, the whole partnership becomes more fun. And I had never had, of all the other organizations I worked with, do that with me. So it's like I've become a more educated, better customer for you, and it's made me have a better experience. And it's literally the same thing we try to do on the garage door side, on the service side with our technicians. So it's like, if you're on the fence, the only person you're hurting by not trying is yourself.
Thanks for that. I think it's so cool. It's been a fun journey, and that's what we're all in business for. I mean, if we're not having fun, why are we doing it? That doesn't mean to bail out as soon as it becomes unfun, but let's pivot and fix what's broken, and we should enjoy it so that we can go back to our families in the right frame of mind. So let's pivot for just a minute.
Sure.
Let's talk about WASA for a minute. We've got a trade show coming up. Let's talk to the guys that are living, working in the Southwest region here.
For sure. I got very lucky because my business partner got me involved in WASA very early into my career at Caliber.
Okay.
And I will tell you that in the back of my mind, the first time I got dragged to one of these trade shows, I'm like, this is the biggest waste of time. Why am I doing this? Da 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 da, and was not happy about it, but was willing to show up, suit up, and see what was going on. Here's what I'll tell you, which has been my biggest takeaway, is that very first night, I'd never been involved in WASA. I didn't know any of the people, didn't know any of the situations. We start walking the room. I'm grateful that my partner, Bill, had some previous connections with industry people, but we start networking, we start talking, we start walking past booths. And I'll be damned, at that very first show, granted, different business, different time, but I was able to walk up to somebody, work out a deal that ultimately became hugely beneficial for my company and was hugely beneficial for the manufacturer that we were talking to. And I walked out of that room with the realization in the back of my mind that had I not been there to have a face-to-face conversation with this person that may have never walked into my office, that was an opportunity that was never going to be there for us. And what I can tell you is that's been my experience with every trade show I've attended since. The networking and the people that I meet every time I do go to an event. Obviously, I'm partial to WASA because it's our organization, and I'm very proud of what we've managed to do with it over the last chunk of years.
Yeah.
But I can tell you my same experience lies with IDA as well. And it's just, if you are a dealer installing company, the notion that you wouldn't want to be a part of this is just something I struggle to understand now. But as I said in the beginning, I totally understand why people think it's not important or it's hokey or a waste of time. Why do I want to be away from my family?
Yeah.
And the reality is the value is so much greater than anybody can list in a added value or benefit sheet for what it is an organization does. And as I've had issues and I've had problems in my career along the way, I have people's business cards. I have people to reach out to. I have people to contact that make things different for me on a daily basis than they would be if I wasn't a real person. If I'm just a guy on the other end of the phone, some other random customer with one of these organizations, I know these people. We've rubbed shoulders. We've ate broken bread. We've had drinks together. We've enjoyed each other's company. And it changes the dynamic about your working life and how everything goes. And it does it for the better.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome. You said that. You read my mind and you gave you gave it ahead of before I could. But when you're in business and you pay attention to business things like business television and what have you, or influencers on social media in business, they talk about where business gets done. Right? Business gets done on the golf course, or business gets done in having drinks after work or what have you. Business also gets done at trade shows. Opportunities happen at trade shows, and that if you didn't go, you wouldn't have met that manufacturer that had a twist or an avenue or a tweak that changed your business. And guys, I'm telling you, when you put yourself in a place where you can learn and rub shoulders and break bread and sit at the breakfast table with someone that's going to say, well, this is what we did, and you get this inspiration. I know I like going to trade shows, and I meet people and I have experiences. You and I met on a couple of occasions, but we solidified our business over some drinks at the bar afterwards.
Well, and good cigars, which that was the funniest thing. I'm a cigar hound. Rob had no idea. I never dreamt he liked cigars. And that was the thing. We're walking around on a trade show floor and he goes, "Hey, do you like cigars?" I go, "Absolutely."
There we go.
Again, it turned into what has been the most fruitful, couple of hours, and just sitting down, enjoying each other's company, shooting the shit. having a couple of beverages and enjoying a nice cigar with good company. And these are the kinds of things that are born out of those trade shows. And I mean, again, it's like there are opportunities for people to be together. I live in Southern California. You guys are in a different state, but those are moments where we're face to face. And again, where I become a human. You know who I am. My name's not just Jarrett or some guy you've seen on a web page for something. I'm a real person, and it changes the dynamic.
So true. So true. It changes the dynamic, and it makes friendships and relationships, and these are life-changing kinds of things, and that's what we're all in business for. How much does it cost somebody, just a dealer or a technician or anybody affiliated with the industry? How much does it cost to attend?
So to attend to the show is absolutely free of charge. You would just want to go on to wasaonline.org, and then you can do a pre-registration to attend the WASA trade show. Obviously, we're a nonprofit organization. We do rely on membership through our membership base to be able to support it and allow us to do these events and things that we do. And even that's on a neat sliding scale. What we did when we did our partnership with IDA is it changed the dynamic of it slightly. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and pull out my phone. I don't want to give bad information because this is a new agreement that we made. But with joining WASA, you've got a couple of different tiers to be able to do it. And I kind of want to be able to walk you through. So what ends up happening is if you join WASA now, you can join WASA and WASA by itself, which is a $99 a year membership plan. Or you have, if you are in our service area, i.e. California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, you can also join IDA. And if you join IDA, you automatically get a membership into WASA. So even if you're just a smaller guy getting started, you can join WASA directly for the $99 a year, support the organization, support the work that we're doing. Or if you want access to everything that's going to be in your region, you can join IDA. And if your business is located within our service region, it also comes with a free membership to WASA. You're not paying any additional amount to join IDA and then become a WASA as well.
There we go. There we go, guys. So if you're in the Southwest region, join IDA and you get a twofer, right? You get a twofer.
Exactly. And that's a very neat partnership that we're very excited with, that we finally got going after years of discussion. Our biggest thing was doing our change from CODA, which was the California Operator and Door Association. We expanded to become multi-state when we changed our name to WASA. And then this partnership with IDA is our next step in the right direction, in my opinion.
And I think it's been a great experience to be affiliated with IDA and the support that we've been able to give each other in our region. So I think it's been awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I've kept you on here a long time, Jarrett, and I know you've got a business to run. I don't want to rush you off the show, but do you have anything else? Is there any kind of last thing or a bit of advice or inspiration you might just throw out, or did we not cover? Was there something we didn't cover that you'd like to throw out?
I feel like we did, but at the end of the day, I'm sure I will look back and have my moment of, God, I wish I would have said, but all I can say is I don't know where everybody else is at with what's going on with them, but I know I had a tough couple of years before we started to get our feet back underneath us and redo what we were doing. And if you're winning right now, fantastic. That is the best train to be on. If you're struggling right now, the grind is worth it. You just got to keep pressing on. And if you press on and you make some changes and you make some moves in the right direction, you can get to the other side of it. And that was my biggest takeaway. Is there were some moments where I thought there's no end in sight. It's just going to keep getting worse. But the fight is worth fighting. And if you do it, and it makes it that much more gratifying when you make it to the backside. And my biggest takeaway is this has forever altered the way that I'm going to operate my business as far as my mix of sales and service. I now know that we have an economy that's going to go up and down. This is not going to be the last time we see issues arise on the horizon for our populace. And if you're planning on doing this for more than 10 years, it's guaranteed you're going to see one of these again. And I now have a setup that we can walk back into one of these and not be nearly as damaged as I was when I walked into this one, even though I know some people played this well and were set up to do it. I know most garage door companies kind of originated on a service basis. I definitely did everything backwards. But the lesson I've learned about the importance of having a robust service department and allowing that to be a major component of your business is a lesson I will never forget, and a part of my business I'm going to protect vehemently as we move forward.
There we go. There we go. Lessons learned, guys, from a guy who has seen, had a three-dimensional view of the industry. Jarrett, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. I can't thank you enough. I appreciate you and our friendship and our relationship. I hold very highly. So have a great day, man. And I hope you'll come back on here with us. I hope that, every 3 or 4 months we can talk about what new steps you've put in and kind of how we're doing. And then for all the garage door heroes out there, being a hero in someone else's story, or helping them be the hero in their own story. But either way, thanks for listening. Thanks for being who you are, because we provide you dealers provide safety and security for families, which is very important to me. And I hope that you take your mission sacred and serious in what we do for people. So having said that, Garage Door Heroes, have a great day. Crush the week. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks with our next guest. Thanks again. All right. We're out.
Thanks, Rob.
You bet, man. Thanks for listening to the Garage Door Heroes podcast. I'm your host, Robb Leishman. If you got value today, hit subscribe and share this with another garage door hero you know. This show is brought to you by the Legit 5 Garage Door Marketing Team, helping garage door companies grow and dominate their markets. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and keep winning.